Hi, I'm Antonio Gracefo. This is my Bokator story. Basically, in my life, I've had the opportunity, I've been very fortunate to have discovered two martial arts. Basically discovered them for the Western world. The Asians knew they existed, but I was the first person from outside to get to see them. Now, one of these was Lai Tai, which is a type of Kung Fu which is only practiced in the Shan state of Burma. But because of the civil war and the genocide there, basically you may never get to see this art other than in the videos and photos that I brought back. And sadly, the masters are all being killed by the Burmese government. So I pray every night for UN intervention, someone to step in and save those people. The other martial art that I was fortunate enough to discover was called Bokator. Now, Bokator is the Cambodian traditional martial art. Cambodia's national sport is Bradal Saray, or Bradal Saray, which is a type of kickboxing, and which the Cambodians claim was the predecessor of Muay Thai. But Bokator is an all-inclusive martial art which uses hands, punching, kicking, knees, elbows, weapons, grappling. It's everything. It took me 18 months of searching in Cambodia, but in the end I finally found the Bokator Grandmaster. Now, my Cambodia adventure started way back in Taiwan, years before. I came to Asia, I came to Taiwan, and I was living with a Kung Fu team and training, and I was learning Chinese Kung Fu, Chinese language, and I started taking another martial arts course in the morning, and that was Tuiso, which is a kind of Tai Chi, a fighting type of Tai Chi, which uses pushing hand techniques, and they go to competitions with this pushing hands. And I also joined another Kung Fu team, which was a bunch of foreigners that used to meet on Saturdays and fight in Kaohsiung. From there, I moved on to the Shaolin Temple, and I lived in the temple, lived with the monks, trained every day, 1,000,000 hours a day, slept on a hard bunk, was filthy, ate nothing but shaved potatoes and rice for 3 months, and it was really an incredible experience. And right off of that, I piggybacked from that, I jumped right into Thailand, and I lived with Thailand's last Kung Fu monk, and his name is Pooh Tong. And the Taiwan stories were captured in a book called Adventures in Formosa. The Shaolin story was captured in a book called The Monk from Brooklyn, which became my signature book and also my nickname, the Brooklyn Monk. And then I went to Thailand to study with Pooh Tong. Now, Pooh Tong is the last Muay Thai monk in Thailand, deputized by the King of Thailand to do drug interdiction work on the border. He was ordained by the Grand Patriarch, the top monk of Thailand, the King's monk, directly ordained Pooh Tong, and he basically would take in all these orphan boys that were orphaned from the war on drugs or the war in Burma. They were mostly Shan and Burmese, and he would take them in, teach them Muay Thai to get them off of drugs, and then they'd run patrols on the border fighting drug dealers. Now, I lived with him for about 3 months. When I came out of that, I just hung around Chiang Mai. I really didn't know what to do next. And interestingly is that when you've ever trained, if you've ever been a professional athlete or you've lived in temples and camps and you've trained, you lose the ability to exercise. You lose the ability to go to the gym 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and just keep in shape. It's sort of an all or nothing. Anything else just pales in comparison. And Shaolin was such an incredible experience, and Pooh Tong was such an incredible experience, and how was I going to top this? So I'm hanging around Chiang Mai, and of course money's always an issue. As an adventure writer, I mean, I probably make less than $5,000 US a year. I know there's some chatter on the internet. People think that maybe I'm wealthy or I'm living off money I have from when I was on Wall Street, but it's just not the case, man. I get a little bit of royalties from my books and a little bit of money from magazines, and I just, when I run completely out of money, I usually take teaching jobs for a while because I have a postgraduate degree in teaching English, but for the most part, I was just hanging around Chiang Mai. I had absolutely no money at all, and what's my next adventure going to be? And it had to be something that was going to at least equal, if not top, living with Pooh Tong and going to Shaolin Temple. So I got on the internet and I started Googling around which countries could I reach for about $10, because that's all I had left. And that left me with Laos, Malaysia, and Cambodia, because those all border on Thailand. And I Googled around because I thought, it must be every Asian nation has some type of martial art, So I started Googling around, and I found out that Cambodia had this art called Bokator. but there was only one article written about it. It wasn't even an article, it was just a mention, I think maybe on Wikipedia or something. It was nothing, no information, nothing. Somehow I found the web address for the Cambodia Youth and Sport Ministry and the martial arts division, and the head of the martial arts division invited me to Cambodia. So I got on a bus and I went to Cambodia, I went to Phnom Penh, and the guys from the ministry, they met me, we had dinner, we talked, and they were in the middle of filming a Kung Fu movie, and so they invited me to be in it. So the very next morning, I wasn't even in Cambodia 24 hours, I was doing my first movie, and the movie's called Krabai Lakon, which means Buffalo Protecting Child. It's an absolutely terrible movie, but it was so much fun to do, and I'm so proud to have done it, and it really made, the Khmer people really liked me, and they supported me a lot because of that movie. And opposite me in the movie is Pooh Tong, who is the real kickboxing champion of Cambodia. And this guy has had somewhere around 200 fights. He's only had about 5 career losses. And at that time, he was on suspension because he was suspected of having taken a bribe. Now, I've written in other places, and not going to get into it here, about how corrupt the boxing scene is in Cambodia and how politically motivated it is. But Pooh Tong, with 200 wins and being a national treasure, had a lifetime earnings that were estimated at something like $5,000 US. And he took this one payoff, allegedly, was suspended for a year, and during that suspension he started doing movies so that he could make money and survive. And so that was actually kind of lucky for me. So I got to be the first foreigner who ever did Kung Fu in a Khmer movie, and of course I was the first foreigner Pooh Tong ever killed on camera, and Pooh Tong was one of the first friends that I made in Cambodia, so it was just an incredible experience. And I particularly liked the part when he killed me. But making the movie was a lot of fun. It was very low budget, extremely low budget. You know, they used real guns. They used it was just funny. And then in the fight scenes, they used some wire fighting. We used trampolines, all crazy stuff. And in the final fight scene, it's me and Pooh Tong, and he kills me. And the thing is, obviously, this guy kicks so hard. He has broken the limbs of opponents in professional fights. And the thought of having this guy kick me was just, just terrible. And, and I hit pretty good too. I mean, I'm not saying I can beat him, but, I've fought pro too, and I'm pretty big. So, it was really hard just trying to coordinate with us, and we had to do exactly what they told us to do rather than what we wanted to do, because then somebody would get hurt. And inevitably, I would zig when I was supposed to zag, and I'd get tagged. But, it was great fun. After that, the movie guys invited me to attend their Khmer martial arts classes, and these were held in the parking lot of the Techno University in Phnom Penh. Now, they told me this was Khmer martial art, but it really looked to me like Chinese Kung Fu, and maybe it was modified a bit. It was like Chinese Kung Fu mixed with a little bit of the local kickboxing, some knees and elbows and things, but for the most part, it was just Chinese Kung Fu. And there was stick fighting and hands and feet, and the stick looked like a mix between Chinese and sort of made up. They were great at choreographing movies, but I just didn't quite believe that this was real Khmer martial art. And I kept asking about Bokator, and I kept asking about the Khmer wrestling that I'd heard about, and they said they were going to take me to the master, and this master, and that master, and they told me, and this went on for months, and finally I just thought, you know what, they're not taking me anywhere, they're not introducing me to anybody, this is it. So I started looking on my own. Every Khmer person who I met, I asked him, where's Bokator? Can you help me find Bokator? And I had a driver that I'd hired, and he was a great guy. His name's Samed, and he was one of my best friends, and still is to this day, one of my best friends in Asia.